Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rebecca. I am a destination wedding and elopement photographer. And today I'm going to talk to you about maternity leave as a wedding photographer, wedding supplier, self-employed lady. Congratulations, first of all, if you're watching this and you're not sure what to do, you probably also have that mixture of excitement, like, yay, it's happening, and also, oh my gosh, my clients are gonna hate me, they're gonna freak out, they're gonna kick off. They might, but there are things you can do to really prevent that. So let's dive in. There is no perfect time to have a baby. Honestly, you can try and plan it so it's after wedding season, but we tried for years for our baby. It doesn't really work with that. So let that go first of all and just enjoy it. First of all, when do you tell your client? What should you do? So ideally, you want to wait for your scan so you have a date. What you're going to want to do is look at your calendar and look at the weddings you have probably 2 months before your due date. It's better to overestimate because you never know, you might be early, you might need a C-section, you might have things that happen last minute which you might not be prepared for. The further you go along, it is going to be harder. And this is something I really underestimated when I was pregnant. My body completely transformed. You're out of breath, you're carrying even more weight here, and it's tiring. I would look at your calendar, look at the weddings you had 2 months before, and just be really realistic and kind to your future self. So what you're going to want to do is start allocating second shooters as soon as possible. This is really, really important because you are going to need a second shooter for all your weddings, whether it's to carry bags, so they can run around when you cannot run around, to pick things up that you can't pick up. What you could also do with your second shooter is train them up so they could be an associate shooter. So the time that you are off, they could actually shoot for you and stand in for you. Look at those options and secure second shooters as soon as possible. So what you're going to want to do next is look at the calendar and those dates of the weddings you potentially have to let down and inform. So how are you going to tell them? The best way to go into this is have a solution for your client. Make it as easy as possible for them to eliminate any stress and anxiety, because they are going to be disappointed. And what you do want to do is try and avoid a cancellation as much as possible. If you are in a financial position where you can cancel and refund them, but realistically, because you aren't going to be working, maternity leave isn't great for the self-employed mama, you are going to want to keep that booking. And the ways around that are getting an associate shooter. If there is a photographer with a similar style to you, someone that you know, it might be a second shooter who's shot with you for years, or it might be a photographer who shoots a similar style which you can edit afterwards. That is potentially the best way around it. So ask around and discuss an associate shooter fee. Get a contract. I sell associate shooter contracts in my shop. The link is down below in the description. This is really, really important because you have to have this in place to protect your brand, protect your business, and have an agreement on what the terms are. They shoot the wedding, deliver the raw files to you, and you will edit them in your style. Your client won't be affected. Yes, it won't be you physically shooting it, your personality, your presence, but it will be in your signature style. And this will soften the blow with your client. So what you could do is line up an associate shooter, or actually a series of photographers. So you might actually speak to 3 associate shooters and then present that to your client. So when you say to your client, I'm expecting a baby, it does mean I won't be able to shoot your wedding. However, this is my proposed solution. These are the options. You have this photographer, and this one. You choose, and I will edit it all on my signature style. It will be the same edit. I will deliver the gallery and your print, so it's really easy for you. The contract remains exactly the same, so you don't have to look for a new photographer, and it all stays within house. That is the best solution. Typically, if you present that to your client, they are a lot happier because you've done all the work for them, so they don't have to go out, start looking all over again for a photographer. And typically they are very happy with that solution. Admin. So admin is a massive, massive chunk of your business which you need to prepare for. And there are several options around this to make your life easier. Now, I would recommend getting a VA, but if you can't afford that, there are things you can put in place. For example, I use Dopsado, and this is a CRM system which has all my client management, so contracts, emails, templates, questionnaires. I use Dubsado for that, and I can send that out to my clients. A lot of it is automated and you can set up your own workflows. However, some people might want a more personal touch. So for me, when I was on maternity leave, I did use a VA. The benefit of a VA is it is a real human, and very often they get to know you, know your tone of voice, know how you talk to your clients, and they can reply instantly. So you're not going to miss out inquiries because you're being a new mum. The other side is that is costly, and obviously every penny does matter when you are on maternity leave. So there are upsides to both. However, speaking from personal experience, I had a VA and it worked really, really well for my business. Another thing you're gonna have to get your head around is when you have a newborn baby, time just goes out the window. So when they're first born, they're really sleepy. So I was replying to emails, what I'll be feeding, and then suddenly their sleep pattern changes and then they're just awake. And then I couldn't really reply to emails, and I would try and do it in between when I could. So what I will say is just let that go and just be open to stuff just completely changing. And everyone says it changes, but it really will change. And that's really hard when you're so used to just replying instantly. Set your out of office on your email account to say, hey, I've just had a newborn baby. I am replying within 24, 48, whatever. Be realistic with your timeline and put that as your automated message so people know that you are around, but your response is going to be delayed. So just give yourself some grace is what I would say. You're going to want to prepare your marketing way before your baby is born. So this I will say, take the time to do. So download Planoly. This is a really great way to schedule your Instagram posts. Tee up all your imagery, your marketing, your posts, your captions, and schedule your posts. That way you don't have that guilt of when they are born and you're trying to still get those inquiries coming through. If you plan ahead and prepare, you'll be fine. But what I will say is if you are scheduling those posts, engage on them later, better than nothing at all. So if you are just like occasionally like being a bit of a zombie, just reply on your phone to comments. That I will say to keep your engagement rate up. The same thing goes as well for Pinterest. So definitely I recommend downloading Tailwind and pinning and scheduling posts for Pinterest. Same thing with blog posts, is try and just keep content constantly ticking over with your business. And if you do this ahead of time, you're not going to be stressed and panicked, and you can just fully enjoy that newborn bubble. When should you go back and shoot a wedding? So this is the $1 million question, and honestly, there is no right or wrong answer to this. You just don't know with your recovery period. If you're having a C-section, you're going to be out of action for weeks. You can't drive, you can't lift, you can't stretch there. So you just have to consider these things. In an ideal world, have 6 to 9 months off, like a real maternity leave would be just the dream. But being self-employed, we don't have that luxury. So for me personally, I gave birth in COVID, but then I had the backlog from all the COVID weddings. So I shot my first wedding when my baby was 2.5 months old. I wouldn't recommend that. That wasn't fun. That wasn't ideal. And home truth, like physically, I wasn't there yet. As in I was like, I don't know, my bladder control wasn't good. Like that's the absolute truth. Bladder control wasn't there. I was breastfeeding, so I was pumping, and I was just like super hormonal. So I wouldn't recommend that. That wasn't ideal. So I would just make sure you give yourself plenty of time to heal. Give yourself more time than you think you need. I also recommend downloading Huckleberry. Huckleberry is an amazing app. Massively helped when I had anxiety going back to weddings. So I would use this from the day they're born, and I did, and you can record their feeds, their nappy, their sleep, and then everybody can log into this account. So I'd be at a wedding and I'd actually look at my phone and I could see, oh, like she's had this much milk and she's asleep right now. Oh, that's amazing. And that massively helped when I had to go back to work. Another home truth, sleep training. Okay, I'm saying it. I use the term sleep training loosely because everybody has different thoughts on this. When children are born, like they don't really know how to sleep unless you feed them to sleep, and they need to be rocked to sleep. But when they get a little bit older, you do have to help them so they know to sleep, because when they are younger, they need 4 naps a day for them to sleep properly at night. So sleep training was essential. That for me, I would say, is my biggest learn as a wedding photographer, because those naps will really, really help you reply to emails, to have a shower, to wash your hair, empty the dishwasher, do life things. And that is because she napped. So I use the app, the Baby Guru. That's incredible. And that massively, massively helped. Reach out and chat to other wedding photographers who are mamas. This is massive, because the first year when you have your baby and going back to weddings, it's wild. It's really, really hard. I would shoot weddings on 2 hours sleep, because everything is a sleep regression. They go for a leap, they're tired, they're just like having a growth spurt, they're cluster feeding, and it is wild. That's the only way I can describe it. But having other mums who are going for the same thing at the same time massively helped. And my last tip is get your workflow in order. This is massive. So using things to automate your work, editing, I use Aftershoot. That helps me cull my weddings. It also does the first base edit of my work. So straightening them, cropping them, adding my preset, and just adjusting the overall white balance. That helps massively. That didn't exist when I had my daughter, but it existed later on, but that would have massively helped. So I recommend getting that as well into your workflow, uploading those catalogs so it starts to recognize your editing, and that will cut your editing down by half. So those are my top tips. If you're having a baby and you're a wedding photographer, it will all be fine. You've got this. You are stronger than you think you are. Mum guilt is very, very real. It's tough, but you've got this. Like, DM me. I love chatting to other mums about what you're going through, like the lack of sleep, the exhaustion, but also it's just magical and glorious. Be kind to yourself, be kind to your body, and just enjoy as much time off as possible is what I would say, because you're not gonna get this time back. And as much as we love our jobs and it's so important, this time with you and your baby is so precious. It's so, so fleeting. Capture everything, film, video, everything, because before you know it, they're 3 years old, wandering around and being really sassy. It's just gone. So enjoy it, because it's really, really magical. Make sure you like and subscribe to my channel for more videos. Shoot me a DM, comment below any tips that you have worked really well for you and your family. I'd love to know. Have that conversation, and I'll see you soon.